Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Hello. Okay, well, last night we had quite the move down in Treasuries. So it's unfortunate that we were only able to take advantage of like that much of it. But that's what happens. And then in the overnight, continued through. The E-mini, kind of flat to even. I mean, it was pretty flat yesterday. Let's look at it this way. It was pretty flat yesterday, and it's been pretty flat in the overnight as well. It's Wednesday, so news-wise, we get. Oh no, sorry, it's not Wednesday. It's Thursday. So we get ADP, Philly Fed, 6:30. And then we got an FOMC member speaking at 7:30. So we may have some muted volume. I think I'm still going to be looking for range-bound trades. Yeah, let's step in here and grab the links here. Copy. And whew. Okay. So that's kind of where we're at on that. I might not have a trade until the news here. And then we got to look at our cryptocurrencies, I think. Yeah. So while that's loading, I wanted to show you here again yesterday. We were seeing a rise in Bitcoin Cash versus Bitcoin, and we continue to see that extend. Where's my watch list? Where's my watch list? There we go. Oops. Okay. So here's Bitcoin. I mean, it's looking like it could go for this high here for sure. Kind of funny. Ethereum, you can see coming off here and almost to an equal spot. I mean, I think that's a good sign, but it's kind of sketch because we could still go down to 2, right? So same with Bitcoin Cash here. From looking at it from Bitfinex, like we're 2 long-term support levels, but it could still go down to 5. So you know, my portfolio continues to do good. I guess one of the things that we haven't been really paying attention to very well is this Steam has just been doing awesome. So, and you know, we made a little bit on these other ones. Verge actually recovered a little bit, and we need to come in a little bit more. It's recovered a little bit. I was still saying, is this by cents? Still saying that like 15 cents is like fairly valued. 20 cents were equal to Monero, and then at like 40 cents, I think, is when we'd be equal to Bitcoin's market cap. So that kind of gives you an idea of what is likely and unlikely in terms of move. Yeah, don't listen to the people on the Verge subreddit about how high it's going to go because they crazy. I have one person on a Reddit thread says that my math is wrong, but okay. So I don't think there's really anything else to say about that. I'm happy that we're up at 37 now. So I was looking yesterday, we were talking about the spread. And so I had these exchange traded spreads up, and I was looking at like tough, you know, to see. Okay, like I'll show you what I tried, and you tell me if I'm doing something wrong. Okay, I'm gonna make this big. So here's our spreads. Some of them actually rose overnight, believe it or not. And I'm looking at new spread. We'll just copy this. Okay, so the front leg is going to be ZT, which should be the 2-year note. And then it was, let's pull that back up. It was 5 to 4. So 5 on the front leg and 4 on the back leg. And I click OK. And that's been that is not flattening, is it? So I'm not quite sure what the deal is. Isn't it interesting though that we did have this move down, we did have some flattening, but it's come off. So they're actually saying, hey, we can't really get too much flatter here, guys. We need to, you need to back off a little bit. That kind of looks like what we're getting here. But notice though that when we've had some down moves, there has been some steepening on the shorter end of the curve. Even though knob has clearly been going down. We could see some continuation today. It's gonna be a really interesting trade. Anyways, I'm gonna remove that one because I just don't find it useful. We're gonna have to investigate more, but it's clearly something that I don't understand. Okay, well, we have some news, so we're going to resist the temptation to just short it here. I'm going to eat some food. Yep, good morning, everybody. Missed a couple of comments there. Jonathan Vane. Well, for treasuries, I'm kind of in hold mode. I mean, we had a pretty good move yesterday, and sometimes we can extend off of those, but oftentimes we also just kind of come back, and we're at some longer term support levels now. So this in ZN, well, ZN could go still a little bit. So like I have ZN's bottom at like low of the year at 119.16. So there's like a half a point to go there. And also the E-mini at the moment at least looks a little unhappy. So I'm a little concerned about equities markets just because it's not behaving the way that it's been. There's actually been some okay news, and they didn't really move. Maybe I just feel it acutely because I have Goldman stock that they gave me when I worked for them, and they had earnings, and I was really hoping that the earnings was going to push us up to where I would be double my money, and it's been down since. So the equities markets are definitely concerned about some things, and I think that they're kind of looking at earnings. We were supposed to have really, really great earnings, and it appears that they are somewhat unimpressed. Okay, well, there's our news, and we didn't really see much of a reaction, if at all. Let's see what the numbers were. Okay, unemployment claims were 232 versus 230, so in line with expectations. Philly Fed Manufacturing Index 23.2 versus 20.8. So that is good, above expectations. So that no reaction there could mean that we're gonna have a slow day. Unfortunately. So the next thing is when the market opens, or when the equities market opens. At least we got Quarles speaking, so that might make us range bound until then. So we'll have plenty of time to chit chat. We got a good number of people watching today for this early. Yeah, a lot of people on Twitch today, by the way. Welcome, everyone. Oh, look, we get channel analytics now on Twitch. That's great. What's my stream summary? What does that mean? Ooh. Oh, the most I've ever had on Twitch is 7. That's interesting. But somebody unfollowed me on Twitch. That's sad. Good views, though. It's interesting that even though there's only like 2 to 5 at a time, people on Twitch just browse around, and so, most gamers aren't going to be interested in it, but we got like a dozen people or so that will check in and be like, oh, what's going on? Well, this isn't interesting, and then move on. So it's so tempting because I'm sitting here and I'm like, well, it's range bound, it's not really moving. But then I'm like, oh, but maybe it'll do this. and I really think that I need to be hands off here. But I want to click. That's a bad sign for me. It's not going anywhere, and I want to click. That means that like my desire to make a trade isn't based off of something that I'm seeing. What else can we talk about? Oh, we can talk about Verge. Let's talk about the Verge. So I don't know if Dave is here, but Dave told me, when we'd done this. Let's move it up here so we can still see the price. We should have sold on the news. And, I'm going to have to say he was right. I think I need to do some more analysis on this sort of thing and just say, is it always right to just always sell on the news in Bitcoins? I don't know. But I kind of said, well, I think the news is good and it hasn't hit my price targets, so let's keep it. Now it has recovered a little bit. There was quite a buy here. Oh, this is just today, so sorry. This is where we said I should have sold. Okay. So we lost 400 Satoshi or whatever. Oh, well, look at it. It is now sitting on the low of the day. Are they going to go for it? Anyways, we're saying I should have sold here and then, buy here. Or maybe buy here. The people on the Verge subreddit were really happy about this move right here, but I'm kind of sitting here like, not too significant yet, although there is volume with it, which is good. If we get back up to this level, that's when I start to get excited. I still think it could go to 15 cents, which I don't know what that is in Satoshis, but if we go back to days, it's like, it's like somewhere up here. It's a little more, this chart's a little more equal because Bitcoin is almost to like 10% off of it. So it's like 10% more than this. So it's going to be like 18 or something like that. Yeah. Oh, well, there you go. So they hit it and it went offer. Okay, well, I guess maybe my whole like, oh, I want to sell it, well, maybe that was maybe my instincts there were right. Now that was a lot of volume selling. Well, okay. It was about 6,000 contracts that sold there. Be careful though, because this could be like we make a new low and then really come back, maybe even come back to the VWAP.
Jack said good chance of backing up back into the range here. Tucker said to no. Nobody's trying to buy 305s. Alligator said true, Billy fed pretty good, leading indicators hawkish, but targets very close. Tucker said the way I see it is what big guy is going to want to walk in down here and bash it lower. Market is already plenty short from on and everybody is going to be scaling out, I think. Jack said yeah, that was my thinking. Alligator said context Aish and all this flattened curve needs to steepen. Alligator said so good reasons for both ways.
What is my bird going on about? I'm gonna turn the cam back on too. I'm done eating. Yeah, my wife left the light on and he was complaining. He's like, if you're gonna leave the light on, you're gonna have to take the cover off of me so that I can see. Well, you could see here there was some short volume that came in and then it flatlined. Some sort of a cell program here in ZF. Interesting. Oh, right. So I forgot. Jonathan Fain asked, do you leverage trade any crypto? No. I wouldn't recommend it at this time unless you're like, you know, only trading a very, very small part of your available margin, because what's happening in this market is we're overbought, but there's not really anybody long that is interested in any kind of short-term movement. These people that are long are the kind of people that are going to insist on holding it for another 5 years. And so there's nobody to stop out by going lower. And so instead what's happening is the larger traders are just shaking
Tucker
things
said
around.
Plenty of mixed messages in order flow on the 295 bid. No trades for me right now.
It's just kind of shaking things around to try and see how many traders they can shake out and make money that way. Which is not good action in my opinion. I mean, if Bitcoin, was healthy, you would want to see it clearly moving in one direction or the other, and instead they have to shake it around because nobody wants to move. I think that that's an indication that we move lower. But again, there's nobody to sell to make it move lower, so we're going to have a head fake. We're going to have a head fake. And if we get it, what I would expect to see is a very fast move down on not that much volume. Basically, the buyers are just going to all step out of the way, and it's just going to keep going down and down and down and down until the people that are long are finally out. And at that point, you might be able to you'd be able to get some more fuel, because you're going to see a lot of people are going to try to fade it. Dave K is writing in Chinese, but I don't know what that says. I've been learning Chinese, but I don't understand any of those characters. I don't know. It might want... No.
Tucker said nice big bid in bonds at 00s.
I think that ZF turned around there. Oh, what did he say? Oh, is it Japanese? Ah, okay, that's why I didn't recognize it, of course. Yeah. I wish I could learn all the languages, but I'm learning Chinese right now because there's going to be Chinese bonds, and I want to trade them. At some point, it's going to happen. It'll be great, and we'll have all of our Chinese friends will be in here with us. We'll have to avoid talking too badly about the Chinese government. We won't want to make them mad or anything. I'm sure they would agree with you, the Chinese.
IQ said, what program you using to learn Chinese?
I am using, I'll show you. I'll pull it up here and show it in the webcam. Maybe it's an Android app called Hello Chinese. Hello Chinese. You see that? Nothing. Hello Chinese. And I'm not very far. I'm right there. So I'm to questions and answers now. I have a coworker who is from China.
IQ said okay.
And he's been helping me on my saying the words right. Because the thing I'm noticing about Chinese, the grammar is not very hard. The words are not complicated. Some of them are very similar, and that can make them hard to memorize. But so that part of learning that language compared to Spanish is actually really nice. But the thing that makes it hard is that there are sounds in Chinese that are just absolutely nothing like sounds in English, and I can't even hear the difference in some of them. So he, whenever I hear one that I
Tucker said, if
clearly
I'm a
can't say
seller sitting
right,
on 305s and 300s, what am I waiting for? Why would I keep my foot off the gas and not hit into 295? Assuming not spreading, of course.
if I'm a seller, what am I waiting for? Why would I keep my foot off the gas and not hit into 295? I don't know. I think the target is 28. So there's that. So notice that we traded the 144 now, 1962, like it wasn't even there. So this is the kind of trade I find really difficult. The kind of trend trade that I find really difficult. So if we had gotten long or short way up here before all of this volume came in, then I could sit down and I could say, well, I'm 8 ticks in the money. We can just let it ride and kind of go with it, right? But now that we're down here, I really have no clue where it's going to stop. And this is the kind of action where I'll see tons of people. It always worries me because this is where I'll see a lot of people in the channel will fade it and lose. You know what I mean? And this is also the kind of action where I'll be like, okay, yeah, I can just short it anywhere and I'll be okay. And then it immediately goes 4 ticks against me. So, well, that sell in CV really affected the cumulative delta there, didn't it? I wish I had seen, was paying attention when it went to see how many orders they had to trade to. It looks like they didn't take it all at once. Was that 144 even, right? I'm just gonna say sell because it was big.
IQ said ZB next stop 143 to 24 area.
This is a very, very difficult trade. I use a memorize. Yeah, Chinese is very tonal. My father, he lived in he went on a mission to Hong Kong, and so he spoke Mandarin, or sorry, Cantonese, which is even more difficult because there's like even more tones and so forth than Mandarin, and it's not as standardized as Mandarin has become. So, kind of an interesting thing. Okay, well, there is the 28, so that was a target, and then they're backing off of it a little bit, and there's a lot of people sitting there on it. See, this is where like I could say, yeah, let's buy 29. See if it comes back to the VWAP. Because this is holding. And this is where I would always get screwed over, right? I would buy it here and it would just go lower and trend against me, and I would do that 3 or 4 times and then give up. And that's like a bad tilt day. So now that's why I would only sell below the VWAP. So now it's kind of like, well, I don't know if I have a spot to go short, so I'm just have to stay out of it. But it's a shame because I did want to sell it, didn't I? I don't know if I don't think I had a good, man. I don't know. We're going to have to go back and watch the video because I was yapping at the time, wasn't I? So I don't know if I was subconsciously seeing a trade there and I just knew that we were likely to extend and move lower, or if that was just me wanting to sell because we're in a downtrend and I like to sell. You know, I don't know if I actually had an edge there, so we're gonna have to go back and watch the video and see if I actually had edge at that point, if I could have taken it out. But if I had taken that trade, I definitely would have gotten out at 28.5 when that 7K showed up at 28 for sure. I would hope I would at least, because that was a pretty good exit signal. A buddy of mine found another mining service that pays out any coin. Pretty cool. Going to try it out this weekend. Pro hashing. Only bad thing is they are a KYC after 600. What does that mean? Pro hashing. Let's look that up. Pro hashing. A coin switching X11 Equihash multi-tool. So it does a couple of different algorithms. Oh, that's cool. And then you can pick, oh, most people pay out in Litecoins. That's interesting.
Alligator said same in Bund, exhaustion spiked down to swing support. Alligator said IMO today too. Why could be important again, as yesterday. Tucker said Seth, the reversal trades are sometimes the best trades, and if you buy/sell according to VWAP you'll be late to the party.
Well, hold on. You're right. Reversal trades are sometimes the best trades, but they're also the lowest probability ones, right? And they're also the most likely to give you slippage, or if you don't have your hard stop right there. So I suppose if you took
Tucker said lowest prob. Not from what I've seen.
Oh yeah, they're definitely. So if I used to be a fader, That's you're gonna eventually you're gonna be like 30%. Because this is again, Treasury's tendency is to run. It's like a freight train, and once somebody gives it a little shove, it just keeps going and going and going all day. Like a really, there is a reversal that I would trade, right? I haven't seen it in a long time though, for some reason. But the reversal that I would trade is you're coming up to some long-term level. Like, let's just say we were a little bit lower. Like we were down at 119.16, the low of the year. And it came down there, and they tested to see if they're going to make a new low of the year.
Alligator said both of you are right, Imo. Dangerous equals potentially lucrative. Finance is all about risk and premium for compensation. Jack said there's a bit of buying.
Yeah, alligators. Alligator's way of explaining it is probably a little better. They're dangerous traits, but that's why they can be some of the best ones. I don't actually know if you fade every time, and what are the specific circumstances that you're going to fade at, what your probability is. So maybe it's not fair for me to say that they're like the lowest probability, but for me, when I was fading, when I had a greater tendency to try and play a reversal, I won maybe 30% of the time.
Alligator said ES doesn't like rates up.
No, it does not. Is that what they're saying on? So I'm wondering, what does the media think here?
Tucker said I still don't think they're dangerous either. Usually you can really pick your spot and only risk 2. Obviously on freight train days you can't fade it, but most days aren't going to be.
Yeah, so that was the thing I was going to get into was so if we took it at 28.5, you better have your stop at 27.5, right? because if it's like a true reversal, it's not gonna go below that 28. But I'm just saying the probability that it goes down there and takes the 27.5 is still pretty good right now. I don't know what it is, that's why I'm not gonna trade it, but it's still pretty good. I want to see a much stronger signal than that. You can bail into that price, yeah. If you have 7K on 280 and they yank, you can bail into that price as well. I muted it for a second. So the only time that I would reverse it is if I actually saw the change. So what you'll see is it'll come down to a level at like it's gonna go to it, and then they stop before it gets to it, and it's like immediate and extremely apparent. Like right now. Okay, we touched it, and now we're kind of the trade that I'm talking about. It's like a V. We'd be coming down to it, and then it's immediately going to go up like 8 ticks. And the key that there's 2 keys that I look for on this reversal trade. One is that you will see a significant change in the DOM. Like we see there's the 7, and then below that we see all of these other lines with targets below us in the direction. So these are traders and robots with, targets below us. But notice that from here back to basically
Tucker
to the
said
VWAP,
reversal trades aren't 8-tick winners usually.
4 to 5, and maybe that's part of my problem. Notice that there's not much right here. Okay, if we get that kind of a reversal that I would actually trade, you will, as soon as it does a touch and comes off of it, you will see it all switch. These ones all disappear, and ones appear all up here, and the big ones at, like, especially at the VWAP, you would see a big order show up there. And in these ones like ZF and ZB, okay, so we have a target above us in ZF, but you would see a place where a big order below us disappears and shows up above us. So that's the first thing that I see when I see the reversal trade that I'm willing to play. And then the second thing that you're going to see is you're going to see a hero. So like, it's going to tick up, and if we ticked up and they put 2,000 on the bid, that would be a good tick, right? But if we ticked up and they put 4,000 on the bid, that's a hero. That's like somebody that wants to buy it and is willing to stick their neck out on the line, is totally willing to get 4,000 filled on them and still push it. And so that's the one that I like to play. And when you get it, you still have to be careful depending on the circumstances, because I have seen on a trend day where we get a reversal like that halfway through the trend day, and like say here in ZF, here's this big order, and so they start moving up towards this big order, and then when we get like 2 ticks away from it, it disappears, and then they immediately reverse again. So now the interesting thing though is Tucker's saying that they're like 4 to 5 max, so he's really, you're playing the pullback, not necessarily the reversal. And maybe that's my problem, is maybe I've had some good ones, but I just need to take 2 ticks on them. They're typing, what about you guys in YouTube? Know your customer.
IQ said I.imager.com.
They gonna start hitting it? I'm noticing that ZB in particular looks really negative. Oh, how come this one doesn't have the oh, okay. That's okay. Well, 2K pulled, and they have a big offer. I still don't know if they're going to break it or not.
Tucker said, I swear I am going to wring the neck of whoever is bid 6K on 280. Short 285.
So Tucker wants to go for the reversal.
Heath said GM.
I'm tempted to hit 28, but I think this is...
Tucker said no, I'm short.
Oh, where are you short
Dave
from?
said sorry Tucker, that was me. Dave said JK smiling face with open mouth and smiling eyes.
Where did you get short?
Alligator said generally after a good move in ZT, nothing great, but today could be an exception as 2Y broke 2.4% yes. You never know when insti are out for hedging, but we should see it in the tape.
Now that offer is starting to firm. I mean, they're adding a little bit. 500 they've added now. So did you get short at 285? Gosh.
Tucker said why.
The most of that hit 280 so far was one order.
Jack said that bid at 29 in the 30.
Or 56. That's a really weird one, right? I think the 5-year is the one that I'm more interested in. It's been trading lots of volume here, see? All the bubbles up there. And there's a 3265 iceberg on it. So I think that they are doing a level break. But again, the setup is like, a level break trade is a really, really good when we have fast auctioning activity, but where it's slow, it's 50-50. I think we can at least reset this to be like that. There you go.
IQ said they stacking at 29/30th ZB. Tucker said I'm about to stack them if they don't take it lower, goddamn.
I don't even have a trade on, and I find this stressful. You have a situation where whichever way it's going to go, you're gonna
Tucker
have
said
to trade
I'm short
10K.
285 and it's 280x 285, so I have the edge, smiling face with open mouth.
Yeah. I feel like if I had taken the 29, then I would be. It'd feel better. It's kind of interesting how it's done this because it went up to what, 30? So it went up there, and all I said was, well, let's come back 4 ticks. It could totally go back down and hit lower
Tucker
again.
said, Seth, why not do your 1 tick trade B/C size is large down here?
That's a good point. Hold on, let me finish that first thought. So I said, well, it could totally go lower, but we didn't actually see like volume push it down or anything like that. It just kind of just happened to get here, and then this popped on. So that's interesting about that. So his question was, why not do my 1 tick? So if I was already filled at 28.5, then for sure, I think you have a pretty good chance of getting filled at 28. The thing is with that much trade, they probably are going to hit it back and forth a couple of times. But without being filled at 28.5 right now already, there's a pretty good chance that it breaks through the 28 without me. And there's also a good chance that it, I'm too far back. You know what I mean? Like, I would have to have a much better Q position than 72. Okay, well, they traded through it, and it was a lot of little orders.
Jack said, I was about to say, are they going to sweep 285? Tucker said out -1.
That was a pretty significant buy in terms of cumulative delta that could actually mean something. The one thing I will say is 92.30 trading there. I mean, that is a sign of weakness.
IQ said I.imager.com.
That there was almost 10K contracts that were willing to short it 1 tick above the low. But we are above it, and this guy didn't get filled, so you have to wonder, there could be another 5K orders that have to come in through here, so it might go back up to that 30 again.
IQ said I.imager.com. IQ said out +1.
I forget some of the rules, but I think one of the rules that I had was to never do it on an edge. Let's see, do I still have it on my spreadsheet? I also was doing it more on ZB. Here we are. So here was the back testing that I did on it. So it was the 1/6 setup, and it was on ZB. And at the time, there was not nearly as much size in ZB. So it was only when it was 300 by 300 on the inside. So like here. Although I think the book is a little bit thicker now, so we might have to say it need to be higher, like 400 or 500. But then I traded it by like saying, okay, when it happens, I just put it on both sides and let it happen. Okay. Or I put it on the one that was bigger, or I put it on whichever one like got taken out first, or against whichever one got taken out first. So you could see if I put it like, if they tried to clear 01 and then I shorted it and then got at it 144, you can see that I was like, it was like 50%, right? So here was my one that was 74% after 20 trades. If fade against, if near a popular area, trade in direction of trend if in a trend, go with the first take if on an extreme. What does that mean? I think that if we're on an extreme, what it's saying is that because this
Tucker said, don't you really need good queue positioning to do that though? Like you'd have to scatter orders throughout the market just to wait in line for your price wherever it shows up.
No, actually. So that was the thing that was interesting about it. And I don't know if this probability would carry over 100% to ZN. Kind of, when I was doing it yesterday, I kind of forgot that I had tested it on CB. But when I back tested this, it had to clear, like I had to see one of these purple, you see this magenta, or there's the magenta and then there's this light blue. That means that there was an attempt to clear. They attempted to sell everything that was being bid. So you know for sure that you would have gotten filled there. So when I back tested it, that was my rule, was it had to clear. So I think what this meant was that on this particular situation, since they bought the 92.30 was the first take, that we would buy 28.5 and try and get out at 29. Could be wrong. Fade against if near a popular area. So that's the real key to this, and that's where I was saying, like, have you ever seen where I'll put an eye on the DOM somewhere? So like a spot that I probably should have an eye on is 31.5. So this is a price where, well, let's say here in ZF, there's only 13 being offered here, and now they ticked up and only 130 are being bid. And we're going to see this trade back and forth several times with very small being put on here. Right now, there's not a whole lot of volume trading through it, but sometimes you'll actually see a lot.
Jack said they could sweep the bid at 285 here, but then some of that size will pull of 280 and it may be difficult to get filled at 285.
Right. So anyways, Um, Basically, what this indicates is balance. So sometimes you can actually see a lot of volume trade through here, which is really good too. But this is basically the market at this point thinks that the 20 is fair. And so people are willing to put market orders against it in both directions. So I mark that with an I. And what I do is if we get that big 300 by 300 shows up close to one of those I's, then I can fade against it. So if we came up here, let's say that we went here and we came back, and now all of a sudden we were here, but this was like 1500 by 1500 or 2000 by 2000 or something like that, right? What I would do is I would sell this and then get out at where the I was. So basically what you're saying is this is the side that should be harder to get filled on, so you get filled on that side first, and then you get out at the price that historically has been an easy price to get filled at. So you're right. It's the thing that I think makes it so effective, that made it so effective of a trade. And like I said, after 20 trades, 70%. And I stopped back testing it because it stopped showing up. But I think that the reason it became such a significant thing was that it gets thick. And so people are worried if they're actually going to get filled. Oh yeah, it was totally a market making strategy. Yeah. It's thick, and so people are afraid that they're going to get filled. But we know, the thing that I knew based on where my eyes were and things like that is actually people have done a lot of business around here, and they're probably going to continue to do a lot of business. And the fact that there's a 4 on both sides says that people on both sides are willing to do business. And so your probability of getting filled on both sides of that are really high. So you can just see here on this instance, I think we said that you would have bought the 28 halves and then sold it to 29. And I mean, look, we would have gotten filled if we had offered 29. They tried 4,000, they cleared it, and then they put 2,000 more on it. And I wouldn't be surprised if they try and clear the 28.5 again. Although it's probably too late to try it now. I would have wanted to do it like right after that 92.30 traded, just to give myself the highest likelihood of actually getting filled. But yeah, that's the stats. That's the back testing that I did. And you can see most, it actually showed up, maybe 4 times a day, and it was a pretty good one. And then I had a bunch of other trades that I had tried, but didn't necessarily get enough trades to say if they were really true. So like one trade that I saw, for instance, this one leaning on 1,000. So that would have been equivalent to what we saw here at 28, where there was a really big, let's read what my comment was. A large order is touched but doesn't pull, and price does not move through. So that would have been this situation. There was a big 28 and they touched. They didn't pull, but they didn't move through. Do you take the reversal on it? And having only back tested it 4 times, it was a 50% probability. That's why whenever we get to those places, I'm always like, I don't know if it's actually going to, it's 50-50. I'd say it's still 50-50. And then there's the other one was, do I have it? Where's the level break one? Oh, here is one that I actually, this one right here, dead man fade. A failed move and then the market goes dead. And you fade it. I had 100% on that. But that was long. It was a different market, so I don't know if that one's legitimate. Where am I looking? 11 tick zipper failed. Yeah, here's this 11 tick zipper one. I've backtested that programmatically. 1Z has been in range for 11 bars. Okay, like they went through it. Yeah. And only 4,000 traded at it. I don't know. I had another one where, there was it was reload. I called it reload. Is it on here? Reloading. Here we go. So, and I tried it two different ways. Absorption against a strong and clear trend. 50%. I did them different ones. This was just like reloading any time that it happened, and this was just reloading in a strong trend. And it's got a pretty good probability when it's a strong trend. I highly recommend that trade, but when it's not a strong trend, it's just random. Well, okay, well, ZB took a real dive there. This price is interest. Not quite to the target, so I do think I could take a trade. I think, though, I want to let it come back. I think I want 28. Keith chased it. See, yeah, I was thinking that maybe I should just hit into it as it goes. I want to see now if we get after she goes, right? It broke. It comes back. Is there an iceberg above us? There was also some strong volume in CF that took us down. Something I'm noticing in ZF, I think that maybe we should start adding some more and backtesting more. But when I get something like this, like it goes down a tick and then it comes back in ZF, I found that we tend to range around there. So I think that we might have a pullback here and come back a little bit. Well, I want to see the guy reloading. I want to see it goes down, comes back, and it gets stopped by a big order and goes down again. But if it comes back as somebody buying with size, not necessarily. It depends on how much volume they traded. Some might pull it depending on what we see. But since 28.5 was the price that the crime occurred, that should be the place that they defend. Okay. So not exactly the action that I wanted. Definitely not what we wanted, so yeah. This ZF is getting wild here. Oh gosh, don't trade the traders. Cash open in balance. So E-mini is just tanking. Oh wow. So it's gone down just here off of the open. It's gone all that. Wow. All that right there was just off of the open, which maybe is why we ticked up. Hmm. Hmm. Okay, not a super strong offer. They gave him a chance to take it back up and they didn't take it. Okay, firmed up. Pulled. Oof. Okay, so again, not a super strong offer, but then it firmed up. Okay. Okay, that time they fought it a little bit, but it still went. So, even though I have a tick profit, I'm really cautious right now because I didn't ever actually see an iceberg up here. So the probability that we really push down and make new lows is uncertain, especially now that they're trading like there's an iceberg here at 27. I do think that they'll break through that because I think that they wanted 26 was the target. They tend to get them. This big order right here, they haven't touched it. I know. So this is kind of crazy now because before it would be like, well, Why would I get out when I have an iceberg in my favor? Well, now I have an iceberg against me, but at this point, I think that it's going to go through. Because we are, I mean, I don't see how we can read this morning as anything other than a trend, you know? And look at that. Iceberg in our favor in ZF. Okay, that was a hit. They cleared it, but they weren't able to hit 26.5. The iceberg is still fighting them. This might be a 10K. Okay. So now I think we have to get out. Oh, come on. I'm so close, please. Please, son, just feel me. Yay. Okay, +1. I probably shouldn't have taken it out. I mean, look, it ticked down and they gave us a good offer again. It really could go lower. Okay, so seeing that we get 27, I think that there might be another iceberg there. Hmm. Twitch user 8472. So first of all, sorry for not seeing your comment right away. I stream on YouTube and Twitch, and so I don't necessarily always have the chats open and see them. And most of the talking that we do is with the people in Discord. But do you day trade for a living? No. So I have a regular job. I'm a computer programmer. So I usually only trade until about 8:30 my time, 8:39, which is, mountain time, so 10:11 Eastern time. And I am trading a live account, but you can see here, I made one tick. It's $15. So I'm not really risking a whole lot of money here or anything. So I really consider what I do more of a hobby. But if, we continue to do okay, granted, we did have a drawdown, but it looks like we're starting to get a run of good days here. So, if I can build my account up and I'm able to size up, I certainly could at some point get large enough that I could live off of it. I think, though, if that happened, what I would want to do is pay off my house first. And if I know that I own my house, then maybe I could quit my day job and day trade. But I don't know if that will ever happen, and it's okay if it doesn't. I enjoy the trading, and if I'm only ever able to do it just as a hobby, that's okay. I want to keep this account, though. I don't want to have to go back to Sim. That would suck. Speaking of which, what is your plan to size up? Yeah, so my plan is I want to how do I do this? So it's 1525, right, for a tick? Oh, 1562. 15.62 for a tick times 4 is like a full stop. Okay. Times 50. Get full stops 50 times in a row is 3,000. So once I have my account so that's I would want to still be doing one. So then if I get times 2. So when I'm around 5 to 6, then I might add a second contract onto it. And I basically want to make sure that I can take like 50 stop losses in a row and not blow out the account. But then the other way that I look at it is like my average drawdown is 500, so I want to have double that, so that would be 1,000, and plus the 500 that you actually have to have. Okay. And then for every 500 I add, then maybe I could take another contract. So I'll probably kind of do a hybrid between those, and then once it's above 10, then you can kind of start changing things. And when I do size up, at least right now, my intention is that I'll just increase my lot size. I don't think that I'm going to like try and scale in and out of things. Because honestly, with the way that we trade and the amount of size that gets put up there, I could potentially trade a 500 to 1,000 lot and not have to change the way that I trade. At least I would get fills. Now, if I started putting does the market actually react to a 5K lot, or sorry, a 500 lot that would be disadvantageous to me? I don't know, but could definitely size up quite a lot and still just be all in, all out.
Tucker said agreed. Scaling only really is important when you're a significant amount of the bid/ask size.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Well, where did I take my trade? Did I take 28 or did I take 28 halves? I took 28. So I'm still not completely sold on this being a reversal. Okay, so there's the tick the 28 half with size. And now they're hitting into the 29. And they have to hit 29, have to make a higher high on the pivots. And touch it? Probably. Probably they're going to touch it here. No, what we need to do, okay, so there's a pretty big size buying 29. So is that one that you would trade, Tucker, on a reversal? I'm just going to leave it alone because I really just don't want to buy below the VWAP. It looks like a good spot though.
Tucker said I would have been bid like 275.
Oh, sure.
Tucker said probably exiting the long at this point.
There wasn't really an iceberg down there though. I'm just saying, seeing an iceberg in this spot does that. Do you read anything into that, or do you? Because I've noticed that oh man, 10K. I don't know.
Tucker said no.
No. Okay.
Tucker said just spreading garbage imo.
Oh, okay. You might be right. I think based on the amount of trend that we've had, granted we've had a good 4 ticks up now. To see 4 ticks and then an iceberg there, I think is definitely a good sign, but I don't know if it's
Trade the trader said, can someone tell me what the difference between iceberg and absorption is?
There isn't one. They're the same thing.
Tucker said, and I mean regardless of whether I'm right on the spread idea, I trade around the edge of the profile, which means I wouldn't be trading in the middle here.
Yeah, so good point that this 29 had a lot of volume at it anyways from earlier. And so it shouldn't be a surprise to see people wanting to take positions there. In Z, so where are we at in CB? So I always want to see how many ticks back have we come. So there's 4, 5. So we have only had a 5-tick pullback in CB. So even though it looks really strong in ZN and it may yet continue, at the moment I cannot say that this is a reversal. We could still be within a pullback. I'm just gonna put bye-bye there because there was a big iceberg. Oh, actually, we'll just call it an iceberg on the bid. Interestingly enough, we have not seen a block buy. You haven't seen Tyler yet.
IQ said 7 to 9T is of a pullback in ZB.
Yeah. So I've done a study about the pullback in ZB. And
Trade the Traders said Seth, and how do you identify if it is one or more?
You can't know for sure. Well, oh yeah. So to my comment before trade the traders, let me mute it because I'm sure somebody will say something else. So you can type in "not interrupt me." If I see it and it's like 700, 800, okay, so like this one right here, this looks to me like an iceberg with the one person that has a huge refreshing order at 20.5 because it's pretty constant, okay? But sometimes what you might see, and the big tell, the way that you know for sure that it's an iceberg. So remember, an iceberg is a feature of the exchange. So if they hit into it, you will not get a level 2 change associated with it. So that's the big key, is if you see like 500 trade and it stays 811 the whole time, you know that that's an iceberg, okay? But sometimes what you might see instead is they'll hit it and it will definitely go down, but then it will firm up. And you'll see it go back and forth there a lot. Okay. So that's interesting. So that is when I would say, you know, there's probably a lot of people. And I think in those spots, often what you are actually seeing is there's one person with an iceberg, and then there's a lot of other people joining that iceberg. So, I mean, you can't really know for sure. I don't know if it's really necessarily important. But you asked what's the difference between an iceberg and absorption, so I'm just kind of trying to say how I would think about it. But ultimately, they mean the same thing, right? Yeah, so anyways, what I was saying before. So here's a spot where I would take it, okay? In ZB, the one tick trade, we could sell 30 and buy 29. Let's see if 30 fills. There's already been a lot traded at 29, so it's a tough call, but I would think that we might get some back and forth here, so let's see. And has 29 been is a thing? Yes, it was at one time. Okay, so now you're filled on 29. Now you're filled short. You buy 28. Oh, no, sorry, I take that back. We didn't get filled at 30. So then you just scratch it and it happen. Right? Yeah, it was 29.30. So yeah, no trade. I would just cancel the order at that point. This is the I though. Back to the sizing up conversation. Why not push up to a 3 or 4 lot and force yourself to trade to the best of your ability? Burn the boats, put yourself against the ropes, and put yourself in a situation where you're forced to trade excellently. None of this 50 trade drawdown stuff. Well, so I'm not going to rule out the possibility that there will be times where I'll swing big. If I continue to do well. This is all very theoretical, of course, right? But I don't think that I want to do that when I'm sizing up from 1 contracts to 2 contracts, Like sizing up from 1 contracts to 2 contracts is the most increase in risk you're ever going to take. And when you're on a small account and everything, that's not a place that you should take lightly. And so I think that, for the first 1 to 5 contracts, I want to be really cautious. But I think there are going to be points where I'm going to say, hey, where we have a big trend and I have margin and room to be able to do this, and I'll size up for those. And I have tried doing that in the past. And I did okay with it. And I was, very rare circumstances where I would do that. And so I feel comfortable sizing up on, like, changing my size based on the trade, Like this 1 ticker might actually still, I haven't gotten a fill, but you might actually still be able to do it and get a fill here and a fill here. That's one where you could size up because it's like a 70% probability, right? Hmm. So now what is going on here? Did these turn at the same time? No, they not quite. E-mini had already turned around a little bit before we started moving up in bonds. Is it really the oh yeah, sorry, he said something else. Let me indefinite. Oh no, that was the same one. Yeah. Yeah, so let's look at what CNBC is saying now. Okay, Apple and Nvidia shares fall after key Asian chip partner gives weak guidance. Dow falls 100 points as Apple drops nearly 2% and rates rise. Yield tops 2.9% on better than expected economic data. So the first thing is that they're saying the data, and which data is it that they mentioned specifically? They talk about the labor market and the Philly Fed index. Uptick in global rates. Okay. Which is probably a really good thing to look at. if you look at the correlations here, the bund is just getting killed. Or it was getting killed, so this appears to be more of a global thing, which is good. Well, it's good for our trade. Okay, another tick up. So at this point, since we're within 2 to 4 ticks of the VWAP, and we have a high volume node below us, I could justify taking along at 30 half. Interesting that 30 was where I was like, oh, if only I had sold it here. So it does not necessarily mean it's over, does it? Oh, right.
Trade the traders said ZN keeps the balance. Trade the traders said.
Tight. He's walking on a tight rope. Okay, so this is where I'm starting to get a little cautious, because if this was a move to the VWAP, I would expect it to just go there, you know? But instead, we're starting to see big orders again. So that says to me that there is a probability that it comes just a little short of the VWAP, and this is the bounce and it goes lower. That this is the VWAP bounce trade, you know? Oh yes, that's right. Tomorrow is 420, and it's on a Friday. My burner's dream. I'm reading my Facebook. Lots of volume on both sides of this node.
Trade the traders, said sleeping symbol.
Isn't it interesting that when we opened, and where did we open at? We opened at 31.5. Oh, we were actually, when I got in here, we were at 120. Okay. So isn't it interesting that where we opened, there was not really a lot of interest. And now there's a lot of interest both ways. So I'm considering a short. I'm not sure if 29.5 is the best spot because there's the volume profile, that little spike in the volume profile there at 29. Well, actually, 29.5 and 30 would be okay because we're pretty good chance of being able to get the 29.
Tucker said risk into 315. Jack said you get the bounce off lows, then you see these large orders appear in the book like at 29 in ZB, market making back and forth, spreading. I can't make sense of this, it seems close to.
Seems close to random, but perhaps I'm missing something.
Tucker said Jack, it's more commonly just somebody wanking, smiley face. Pete said LOL.
Really, to see 7 and 8s at so many different prices in CB is quite something. Okay, so somebody's icing at 29.5.
Tucker said if you can't make sense of it, the last thing you want to do is speculate in it.
Yeah.
Jack said yep, it's not just one-sided, it's on both sides of the book that they place these orders.
Yeah. So I was saying 29.5, 30, and I mean, there's no way I would have gotten filled at 30. I could have hit into 29.5 and been okay though, and at least been able to get out at 29. That thing that kind of stopped me was when Tucker was saying that you would risk to like 31.5, and I was like, no, actually, I don't think I want to risk that much. I think I'd have to risk. Yeah, it would be 31.5. So I was risking 4 for something that is maybe 1 to 4. So it didn't seem so attractive to me. Now that they've had a good tick down, I think I could risk 30.5. Max. If it ticked up to 30, I'd want to try and get out, but I could short here. If I'd get filled, I don't know if I'd actually get filled.
Jack said you see at 1000 at 00 in ZB, then 1000 at 27, spoofing a couple levels out in the book.
Yeah.
Pete said spreading like crazy today. Jack said they always balance it on the other side, so it's hard to determine what they're trying to do. Tucker said wonder what the deal is with all the spreading this week.
Yeah, now that's interesting.
Tucker said what big players are executing for.
Because the spread, if I show you the FYT, it's going up slowly, but steadily. And in the knob spread, a similar story. So they're actually building. That would actually say you want to buy ZF, and I think that's what happened, right? We had a pretty strong move up on pretty strong volume. So I guess the next step is we could short 28.5 to 27.5, and then just kind of give it a little bit of room to see if it goes. I think that there's actually still a good chance that we move lower. And I did say let's watch for the fake reversal, and that is starting to look like what the hell was.
Jack said it can chop though.
Yeah, it could chop. That's why I'm like, see, like if I can get filled here. As long as I don't get filled on a strong take, I should be able to get back out at 29. Though it was definitely a better trade when it was falling. pretty thick here. Thick and equal in both the ZN and ZF. Hmm. Well, with that big iceberg there. Yeah, I think we have to cancel this, so. We weren't getting a good spot in the queue anyways. Oh, well, I would have gotten filled right there.
ETH said long 29.
Would have gotten filled right there. Would I get filled on the other side?
Tucker said not to step on your toes, Seth, but let the market makers make markets.
Well,
You're a scalper, not a market maker.
it's just that's just the only opportunities that I see because we're in a trending action where I can't really take a spot on the trend. So it would have been a good one again. That's okay. I don't know. I'm just it's just kind of fun for me because I really enjoyed that trade, and it was really fun to see. Like I had a theory about, oh, you just want to find the places that clear a lot. That was the whole theory, was find the places that clear a lot, create some rules that kind of put things in your favor just in case things move outside of that range, and then trade it. And it worked so well. And then it just kind of stopped happening. And what basically the longer story was, it did that, and then we started getting trends a lot, and so I was good at the trends, and I just traded the trends. And so to see those spots coming up again is nice. So it would have been good, and I may have even kept it. So I maybe even take +2 to 4 on it, but now I'm wondering, ZF, it looks like a head and shoulders now. So I might even just sell 28, to be honest. Yeah. Should have just hit it right when I was saying that.
Heath said ouch -2.
If you look at everything, like from where we were at the bottom and we're moving back down, you know, the cumulative delta is following it. So there's enough room
Jack
here
said
to
it
make
is
a
a
new
weak
low.
low in the 10-year.
He is right, it is a weak low. Jack, very, very good point. Weak low in the 5, I mean, it's a weak low in all of them. And look at the delta here in CF is really aggressive down. And, sorry, ZB. ZF hasn't come off yet. So do we have a setup that could go lower? Yeah. So if we can get filled up here in this area that we've traded already, and then get a few ticks in our favor, we would have enough room to just kind of see if it's going to go.
Tucker said, Seth, you might have to hit in if this is going to run.
Yeah. But I want to see, I think I have a good chance of getting filled. I don't know if the risk is worth it to me to take it at 27.5. You know, I feel like I have to be picky about the spots, right? I can always try and click in if I see this get weak, I can just hit it, so. Okay. At the moment, I'm more concerned about that we get a strong tick against us, so. Look at ZB is already right there on the low.
Jack said it's tricky because the amigos are not all in sync here.
Yeah.
Heath said it has been slicing back and forth. Tough to trade. Spreading still going on. ZB at RTH lows, ZN a little below mid RTH, ZF above mid RTH.
Block buy.
Nope. Whoa, wait. It didn't clear. What?
Tucker said I've been done for a while today. Gonna take my -2 and -3 for the week and go cry into a pillow.
What did you do today? I know you took the -2 on that one, but was that it? Well, this is
Tucker
cute.
said 2 -1s.
Okay, that's good. That's not too bad. -2 for a whole week. That's actually pretty good for a bad week. So curious
He
that
said
they hit this. They hit this 285 and it did not clear, which is unusual. And I saw a little bit of robot selling here, machine gun. But ZF doesn't want to break yet. Okay, that pulled. So that looks like there's another iceberg at 28. Yeah, oof. Okay, yeah, this is gonna go lower. Now I think we have a really good edge.
Tucker said might go call my mom, ask her to tell the institutions to quit finding my stops.
Well, you just need to not put them so close, right? Give yourself like an 8 to 16 tick stop and then, then it'll never get hit. Yeah, all good. Hey man, just got on looking to buy Bitcoin Cash right now as I think it might keep going up. Please let me know what you think as I don't want to make a bad investment. Thanks. So first of all, sorry for not seeing your comment earlier. So this is a really tough call in Bitcoin Cash because there is definitely some buying in Bitcoin Cash and there is definitely something going on with Bitcoin dominance, and it appears to me, at least for the moment, that Bitcoin dominance is going down. And Bitcoin
Alligator
Cash
said penning but short end not trending. ES in a pullback IMO.
Yes. Well, ES, if ES runs here, we could have a lower low. But I do think that Bitcoin Cash is in a strong position. But the thing that makes it a difficult call here is that my Bitcoin indicator says that Bitcoin is overvalued. We're like at a 131, which is about what it was when we were up at the top last time. And if we get to 150, that's like, you know, it doesn't get much higher than that. That's like crash is imminent. And we kind of have this interesting situation where it's overbought. And so you would think that we would sell. And they've tried selling it, but there's just not enough buyers to give it any momentum down. You know, it's like all of the people that are in Bitcoin are just holding it. And so I think that what is going to happen in this situation is that we're going to get a head fake. There's going to be a really strong buy up to like 9,500 in Bitcoin. And then it's going to drop like a rock. And all of the buyers are just going to, all the bids are going to pull and it's going to go down very, very quickly. That's my prediction. So in that situation, what happens to Bitcoin Cash? I don't know. So my plan is to be on the safe side. I'm going to wait for that 9,500 to come and then take a profit. And if Bitcoin Cash, if I'm right, but Bitcoin Cash doesn't go down with it, then at that point I can get back in again. So my recommendation would be, I don't want to say my recommendation. I'm not giving advice here. But what I'm going to do basically because I do want to buy more Bitcoin Cash, but I'm going to be waiting to put more money to work in it. Yeah. So I hope that you're still there and that answers your question. Do you have or have seen extra movements in the Treasury bond futures when they auction off on those days? On the auction days, yes. So days when there's the auctions, actually the Treasuries have a tendency to buy a little bit. So what will happen is there's a little bit of a sell before the auction, and then after the auction they buy. It's almost like the market is making room for that new supply, and then they move up. So well, that was a really strong downtick right there. Like really strong. How much is this one going to run? Because at this point, I think the probability that they make a new low is pretty high. Great questions. Can you ask for me? My stops need savings. Oh, you're talking about Tucker talking to his mom about where his stops are. Yeah. Yeah, there's going to be some big volume traded here again. Whoever's buying it there is foolish, in my opinion. They might hold it, but if this breaks, it's going to be ugly. We've been moving down. Since we've been moving down, the E-mini has been moving up. So if the E-mini takes another leg higher, then we're definitely breaking these lows. Okay. So now you get this again. Like level break. Level break absorption is going to be at least 4.
Alligator said haven't seen such a day in bund for months.
Yeah. This feels like the good old days, doesn't it, Alligator?
Alligator said this could be the start of complete unwinding of curve flattening. Alligator said why awesome smiling face with open mouth.
Okay, so now there's been a 5K traded there. There was a 5 and a 7.
Jack said there is some size down here.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't notice that it actually did already tick lower. How did I misread? Was 27 was the low? So now 26 half is the low, and it hasn't gone lower. Okay, well here's the ZF. The thing is the ZF has not made a new low. So we could pause and wait for it to line up. Or the E-mini could take a dive here. See here again where it's like a lot of the volume in ZF is buying. The cumulative delta it's buying in ZF. This is just like yesterday, and then we're like close to or right on the lows. Like exactly what happened yesterday. Well, that's not good.
Tucker said, alligator, what do you mean by the unwinding of that trade? Curve steeping? Tucker said steepening. Alligator said what?
We should. I should send an email to John today and see how he did, because I think he might have a fun story to tell. So this would be a spot where I think he would do really well.
Tucker said, wonder if that's the case, and if so, what the driving components are.
Yeah, well, it's a good question. Although, that the only thing I can really say is when you look at the longer term chart, look at where we are on the curve. We steepened a little bit, and then they flattened, and now we're back to where we were. So, like, if you were in a flattener, now would be a great place to take profits anyways. That's what I think is happening. Because for it to flatten further, I think you would have to say, like, that the economy is going to be gangbusters and all of this. But right now, I feel like it's more like, yeah, the Fed is probably still going to raise rates, so we should go down, but the larger term outlook with equities is more uncertain than it's ever been. So why not take the flattener off? It's funny because yesterday I was saying, like, look, like, it's flattening from institutional traders. They're moving down. They're saying, things are good. But now it's just that they reached the target, so you have to steepen a little bit, I think. And that's when you're getting a steepener, but treasuries are moving down. Because remember, a steepener in the knob is buy ZF and sell ZB. So if we're getting a steepener, we're going down. ZB is going to move a lot more than the other ones, and you've seen that has definitely happened today. Since the open, we're down a good 12, almost 16 ticks. I mean, you could have made good money today in ZB on a day that has actually been relatively rangy and difficult. Okay, well, I'm thinking about taking the 27 now, even though I think there's a good chance that we continue to 26, because I've got to go soon, and this is being slow, and I don't want to have to sit through it coming back on me and then going back down and all that. Look at ZB. Let's reset the DOM so we can keep an eye on it, because ZB is one of the main drivers here. We need one of these is going to have to break. Nope. Okay. Our position is so bad here, I think we're gonna have to move up. Tisk tisk. I should have put that in a lot earlier and it would have been filled. That's unfortunate. Auctions, do you say iceberg orders as well? Oh man. So that's a great question. So sometimes what we'll see on an auction day is what we call a rate lock.
Alligator said looks like a Rev RN.
So we'll come down to a level and it looks like we're trending, and then all of a sudden you'll see 10K trade at a level like holy crap. And I've seen these icebergs are the strongest icebergs that I've seen happened on auction days. I think there was one day in January, I think it was, that we saw like 20K trade into one price, and we were sitting there like 20K, and they're not gonna bust through it or come back off of it, or whatever. It just sat there like the whole rest of the day until the auction. So yeah, you definitely see icebergs on auction days. I mean, we had those last week, so last week isn't a very good example of videos to look back at because there was so much other news going on. But like January and February were pretty good examples. So I would just look at the days that we had auctions and then go back and look at the action that we had on those days. They can be hard trades, but there's enough unique action there and edge if you know the instrument well that you can make some money. So it would be a good thing to study. If I could get filled at 27.5, I would be appreciated. Thank you. Come on. Well, now that's interesting. There's only 500 orders behind me. Okay, so we got filled. Probably could still get filled at 27, to be honest. But I still have some stuff to do, so oh, well, we can watch it while I'm writing my notes. So I'm gonna post the charts here. I'm gonna mute myself. Okay, so I posted those. I'm just gonna review my trades really quickly here. Here we had two spots at 280, and I was only able to take one tick off of them. I did have a trade, I think here These two kind of were really more market making scalps. But I think there was this trade somewhere around here at 29 that I think I should have taken. So I regret missing that. I maybe also should have been more confident in shorts around here at 3. Could have gotten some off of that. And now I think it was good to be cautious though, because even though we got a great trend, it was also didn't really extend a whole lot either. So that's interesting. I think this kind of action could be good for lower though, because it's just kind of like the slow push down is a lot stronger than the really impulsive ones that snap back on you, So that's where that is. So we made $31. That's good. And the third, I think this is our third winning day in a row. Or maybe it wasn't. I don't remember if we lost on Tuesday or not. We had a good day and a bad day. I think Monday was the bad day. Well, it wasn't like an awful day, but it wasn't great. But so yeah, I'm happy about that. Hope I answered your guys' questions. Of course, if I didn't come back tomorrow or whatever. So anyways, we'll see you guys